On the evening of October 21st, 2021, over 2,000 TikTok users logged into what they thought would be just another casual live stream. A young woman sat on her couch in San Diego, California, laughing and chatting about everyday life. Her followers loved her authenticity and humor. But in the comments section, some viewers started noticing something odd. They could hear sounds in the background. Footsteps. A door opening. And then the woman's face changed. Her smile disappeared. Fear flickered across her eyes. Within seconds, 6 gunshots echoed through the audio. A woman's scream pierced the air, then one final shot, and then silence. What happened that day wasn't just captured on camera. It was broadcast live to thousands of helpless witnesses who could do nothing but watch in horror. Tonight, we're uncovering the true story of Emily Mitchell, a 28-year-old mother whose marriage was crumbling in the most public way possible, and her husband Derek, a TikTok star with nearly 1 million followers who was obsessed with fame, control, and keeping his darkest secret hidden. When Emily made the decision to expose that secret to the world during a live stream, she unknowingly signed her own death warrant. This is the story of jealousy, humiliation, and a murder that the internet witnessed in real time. Welcome to Silent Witness True Crime Stories. Thanks to all my viewers and subscribers for your support. Stay tuned for daily true crime updates. Don't forget to subscribe, and also download your free ebook by clicking the link in the pinned comment. At 22, she joined the United States Air Force and was stationed in Okinawa, Japan, where she met Derek Mitchell in 2014. Derek was a fellow airman from Staten Island, New York, with a magnetic personality and a gift for impressions that made people laugh. When he did his Tony Montana voice from Scarface, people would gather around and record him. Emily was drawn to Derek's confidence and humor, and within months, they were inseparable. But even in those early days, there were warning signs Emily chose to ignore. Derek's jealousy was immediate and intense. If another man spoke to Emily, Derek would interrogate her afterward about what they discussed and why she was smiling. He didn't like when Emily wore certain outfits, saying they were too revealing. Friends noticed something off about his behavior. He didn't just love Emily. He needed to control every aspect of her life. One night at a bar in Okinawa, an incident occurred that should have been a wake-up call. Derek had been drinking heavily, and when a male friend of Emily's approached her, Derek became enraged. Witnesses said they saw Derek shove Emily against a wall. When security intervened, Derek became even more aggressive. The Air Force investigated, and Derek accepted a voluntary discharge to avoid a court-martial. Emily stood by him through it all, believing his excuses, believing that the man she loved would never intentionally hurt her. After leaving the military, the couple moved to Virginia, got married, and welcomed a daughter named Amira. For Emily, motherhood was transformative. She poured all her love into raising Amira. But for Derek, fatherhood brought frustrations. His dreams of fame felt distant until 2019, when he discovered TikTok. He created an account under the handle Gin Kid and began posting impression videos. His Tony Montana impression went viral, earning him nearly 1 million followers by 2020. Emily supported Derek's career, filming his videos and helping with ideas. But as his following grew, so did his obsession with fame and his need to control Emily. He monitored her phone, demanded to know where she was at all times, and would rage over small things. Emily found herself walking on eggshells constantly, never knowing what might set him off. But there was something else Derek was desperately trying to hide from the world, something that became a weapon he used to control Emily. Derek had a fetish involving age regression and adult baby roleplay. In private, he would dress in adult-sized baby clothes, use pacifiers, and ask Emily to treat him like an infant. Emily didn't judge him for it initially, trying to be supportive, but Derek's shame around this was intense. He made Emily swear she would never tell anyone, especially not his followers, because he was terrified it would destroy his tough, masculine image. He told her that if anyone ever found out, his career would be over, and it would be her fault. This secret became a source of control. Derek reminded Emily constantly that she held his entire life in her hands, that if she ever betrayed him by revealing this information, he would make sure she paid for it. In early 2021, Derek convinced Emily to move the family to San Diego, telling her that being on the West Coast would give him better access to entertainment opportunities. They moved into a luxury apartment on the 35th floor of the Spire San Diego in the trendy East Village neighborhood. From the outside, it looked like they were living the dream. But inside that apartment, Emily's nightmare was intensifying. Derek's cocaine use became a daily habit. He would snort lines before filming videos, sometimes even during live streams. The drug amplified his paranoia, jealousy, and rage. He accused Emily of cheating constantly, going through her phone and interrogating her about conversations with anyone. Emily's friends would receive late-night texts saying Derek was out of control, that she was scared. But when they pressed her to leave, Emily would backtrack, trapped in the cycle that so many victims of domestic violence know. The abuse would escalate. Derek would apologize and promise to change. There would be brief calm, then the cycle would start again, usually worse. In the summer of 2021, Derek's behavior reached a new level. During one argument, Derek punched Emily repeatedly in the face, leaving severe bruising around her left eye and down to her lip. When her best friend Julia visited and noticed the injuries, Emily broke down. She said Derek had gotten on top of her and just kept hitting her until she stopped defending herself. Julia begged Emily to leave, to get a restraining order, but Emily was terrified. Derek had told her repeatedly that if she left, he would take Amira away, that no one would believe her because he was the one with the platform and followers. But something in Emily was changing. The fear was still there, but so was anger. Anger at Derek for treating her this way, anger at herself for allowing it, and anger at the facade they maintained for the world. In September 2021, Emily made a decision that would set everything in motion. She started her own TikTok account and began posting videos about her life. At first, the videos were innocent, just talking about being a mom, sharing recipes. But as her confidence grew, Emily started making jokes about her marriage. She would make playful comments about how her husband was obsessed with fame, how he had some interesting habits people didn't know about. The comments were vague, but Derek knew exactly what Emily was hinting at. He was furious. He confronted Emily and screamed that she was embarrassing him, that if she ever revealed his secret to the world, he would kill her. Emily was shaken, but she was also exhausted from years of fear. She told Derek their marriage was over and that she wanted him to move out. She sent him an email that was direct and final, writing that she needed to move on, that he had dragged her down enough. Derek refused to accept it. He moved into a hotel nearby but couldn't let go. He would show up unannounced, call and text dozens of times daily, and leave disturbing voicemails that veered between desperate pleading and vicious threats. In these messages, Derek's narcissism was on full display. He bragged about being an internet celebrity, called himself a god, and told Emily she would regret leaving him. Emily didn't waver. She told friends she was planning to file for a restraining order and was ready to separate their lives permanently. She also started being more open on her TikTok live streams about what her marriage had really been like. She stopped protecting Derek's image. She stopped pretending everything was fine, and in mid-October, during one of her live streams, Emily made a comment that would seal her fate. She was answering questions from viewers about her separation, and someone asked if there was one thing she wished people knew about her ex-husband. Emily hesitated, then smiled in a way that looked both mischievous and exhausted. She said, "Let's just say that the tough guy persona he shows online isn't who he really is. Behind closed doors, he's got some interesting needs that might surprise people. Like, imagine a grown man who likes to dress up like a baby. Yeah, that's the real him." The comment section exploded. Some viewers thought Emily was joking. Others started asking questions, wanting more details. Within hours, the clip had been shared thousands of times, and people were speculating about what Emily had meant. Derek, who obsessively monitored everything Emily posted online, saw the live stream. He watched her reveal his secret to the world. and something inside him broke. By early October 2021, Derek Mitchell was a man on the edge. His wife had left him. His secret had been exposed online. His carefully crafted image was crumbling, and worst of all, Emily was moving on without him. On the morning of the 21st of October 2021, Emily dropped Amira off at school and returned to the apartment around 9 a.m. When she walked in, she was horrified. The place was completely vandalized. The walls had been spray-painted with obscene slurs calling Emily terrible names. The toilet was smashed. The mailbox destroyed. It was clear Derek had been there. Emily called a friend, her voice shaking as she described the destruction. She said she was going to clean up before Amira got home, and that she was getting that restraining order today. No more delays. She was done. What Emily didn't know was that Derek had been in the apartment earlier while she was out. He hadn't just vandalized the place. He had taken Amira's iPad, installed a listening app on it, and hidden the device in the bedroom. This app allowed Derek to remotely listen to any conversations in the apartment. After leaving that morning, Derek returned to his hotel and opened the app, listening in real time to everything Emily said and did. When Emily called her friend, Ryan Carter, and asked him to come help her clean up, Derek heard every word. Ryan Carter was a 29-year-old man who had been a good friend to Emily during her separation. He was kind, supportive, someone Emily could talk to when she felt isolated. There was no romantic relationship, just friendship. But Derek had convinced himself that Ryan was why Emily was leaving, that they were having an affair, that Ryan had stolen his wife. Around 1 p.m., Emily decided to do a TikTok live stream. She had been updating her followers throughout her separation, and many had been supportive. She turned on her camera, sat on the couch, and started talking to viewers about her day. She talked about the vandalism, about how her ex was still trying to control her, about how she was finally taking steps to protect herself legally. Viewers in the comments were supportive, encouraging her to stay strong, sharing their own stories. Emily felt empowered, like she was finally taking control of her narrative. Ryan arrived around 2:30 to help clean up. He brought supplies, and they started scrubbing spray paint off the walls. Emily kept her live stream going, occasionally answering questions from viewers. Ryan stayed mostly off camera, just helping as a friend. But Derek was watching the live stream. And Derek was listening through the hidden iPad. And Derek was driving from his hotel toward the apartment building with a loaded handgun. At approximately 3 to 10 p.m., Derek's car entered the parking garage, captured on surveillance. He took the elevator to the 35th floor. He had made a copy of the electronic key, so he unlocked the door without forcing entry. Emily's live stream was still running with over 2,000 viewers watching. She was sitting on the couch, taking a break from cleaning, and Ryan was sitting next to her, both laughing about something. Viewers were enjoying the light-hearted moment, making jokes in the comments. Then, in the background, viewers heard a door open. Emily's face changed. Her smile disappeared. She looked toward the door, and her expression shifted to confusion, then recognition, then fear. Some viewers in the comments started typing, asking who was there. Emily stood up quickly, and Ryan stood with her. The camera was still pointing at the couch, but the audio captured everything. Viewers heard Emily say, "Derek, what are you doing here? You need to leave." They heard a man's voice, angry and loud. They heard Ryan say, "Hey man, calm down. Let's just talk about this." And then viewers heard the first gunshot. The screen shook from the impact of the sound. Viewers in the comments started panicking, typing in all caps to call the police, asking what was happening, asking if this was real. The second gunshot came less than 2 seconds later, then a third. Ryan Carter was hit first, 3 shots to the head and neck at close range. He collapsed immediately. Emily screamed, a sound so full of terror that viewers would later say it haunted them for weeks. She tried to run, but Derek fired a 4th shot, then a 5th. Emily fell. The camera was still recording, the live stream still broadcasting, but all viewers could see was the back of the couch. All they could hear were sounds of movement, someone breathing heavily, and then one final gunshot. The sixth shot, the one that killed Emily. Then, silence. For several seconds, the live stream continued, just showing the empty couch and silence. Viewers were screaming in the comments for someone to call 911, asking if anyone knew where Emily lived, begging for this not to be real. Then the live stream cut off. Derek had seen the phone and ended it, but it was too late. Over 2,000 people had witnessed the murder. Screen recordings were already being shared everywhere. Within minutes, the San Diego Police Department started receiving hundreds of calls from people reporting they had just witnessed a murder in real time. The San Diego Police Department arrived at the Spire San Diego within 12 minutes. Officers found the door to apartment 35D unlocked. Inside, they discovered Emily Mitchell lying on the floor, shot once in the forehead. Ryan Carter was slumped on the couch, shot 3 times in the head and neck. Both were pronounced dead at the scene. Investigators didn't need to wonder who the killer was. Surveillance cameras throughout the building had captured Derek's entire journey. He had walked calmly down the hallway, taken the elevator back down, gotten in his car, and driven away. After leaving, Derek did something investigators would point to as evidence of his calculated state of mind. He picked up Amira from school as if it were a normal day. He took her to get ice cream. He drove around San Diego for hours with his 5-year-old daughter in the back seat while police searched for him and the internet exploded with videos of the live stream murder. Eventually, Derek called his mother. His voice was shaking as he told her what he had done. His mother, horrified, told him to turn himself in. Immediately. Around 8 p.m. that evening, Derek called police and surrendered. He was taken into custody without incident. Amira was placed in the care of Emily's family members. At police headquarters, Derek confessed almost immediately. He told detectives he had installed the listening app that morning, that he had been monitoring Emily's conversations, and that when he heard Ryan's voice, he snapped. He said he grabbed his gun and drove to the apartment, and when he saw Emily and Ryan together, he lost control and started shooting. But investigators had too much evidence pointing to premeditation. Derek had installed spyware hours before. He had armed himself. He had driven to the apartment knowing what he might find. In the days following Derek's arrest, investigators built a comprehensive case. His internet search history showed that in weeks before the murder, he had been looking up graphic images of violence, including decapitated heads and dismembered bodies. He had researched how to track someone's location and how to install spyware without detection. Investigators also discovered dozens of audio messages Derek had sent Emily in the months before her death. His tone alternated between desperate pleading and vicious abuse. He called Emily terrible names, accused her of being unfaithful, and demanded to know where she was at all times. One message recorded 3 days before the murders stood out. Derek said, "You think you can embarrass me? You think you can tell the world my secrets, and I'm just going to let that go? You don't know what I'm capable of. You're going to wish you had kept your mouth shut." That message, combined with the spyware, internet searches, and texts to friends saying things like, "I'm going to go to jail if I see her with another man," painted a clear picture of premeditated murder. The fact that Emily's murder was partially captured on TikTok Live provided indisputable evidence. Over 2,000 people had been watching. Hundreds had recorded the live stream and saved the audio of the gunshots, Emily's scream, and the moments leading up to her death. As the case moved toward trial, friends testified that Emily had confided about Derek's physical abuse, describing incidents where he had punched her, grabbed her by the throat, and threatened to kill her if she left. One friend testified that Emily had said, 2 weeks before her death, "I think if I go through with leaving him, he's going to kill me. I really think he will." When Derek Mitchell's trial began in May 2024, the courtroom was packed. The prosecution methodically laid out evidence. They played portions of the audio from Emily's live stream, allowing the jury to hear the moments before the murder, the gunshots, and Emily's scream. Many jurors had tears streaming down their faces. They showed surveillance footage of Derek entering the building. They presented text messages, internet search history, spyware evidence, and audio recordings of abusive voicemails. Deputy District Attorney Taryn Brast argued, "This wasn't a man who lost control. This was a man who took control. He controlled every aspect of Emily's life for years. When she finally took back control, when she spoke her truth and exposed his secrets, he decided that if he couldn't control her anymore, no one would have her. So he killed her in cold blood while 2,000 people watched online, helpless to stop him." The defense argued that Derek had been experiencing a severe mental health crisis, exacerbated by bipolar disorder, cocaine addiction, and the breakdown of his marriage. Derek took the stand and testified for 3 days about his abusive childhood, his struggles with substance abuse, and admitting to hitting Emily multiple occasions. When it came to the murders, Derek claimed he experienced a complete mental breakdown. He said when he saw Emily with Ryan, he couldn't process it. "I just couldn't take the betrayal. Before I could stop myself, I snapped. My gun was in my hand, and next thing I'm shooting, and I can't stop. It's like I'm watching it happen, like I'm in the passenger seat of my own body." During cross-examination, Brast challenged Derek on every point. She asked why, if he was so out of control, he remembered to bring his gun, why he ended Emily's live stream if he was in such a fog, why he calmly picked up a mirror and drove around for hours. Derek had no good answers. He stumbled over his words and contradicted himself. The jury saw through his performance. On the 29th of May 2024, after just over a day of deliberations, the jury returned with a verdict. Derek Mitchell was found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder. The jury also affirmed the special circumstance allegation of committing multiple murders, meaning Derek would face life in prison without possibility of parole. When the verdict was read, Derek became emotional, covering his face, while the gallery erupted in applause. Emily's family and Ryan's family embraced each other, crying tears of relief and grief. Ryan's sister told reporters, "Obviously, nothing is going to bring our brother or Emily back, but at least he is never going to be able to do this to another person again." The sentencing hearing took place on the 6th of September 2024, and it was one of the most emotionally charged moments of the entire case. 6 of Emily and Ryan's loved ones gave victim impact statements before Judge Jeffrey Fraser issued his sentence. Emily's sister Hermé was visibly distraught as she addressed Derek directly. She screamed at him about the pain his actions had caused, saying, "If I had known what my sister was going through, if I had known about the abuse, I would have flown to California and taken her and Amira away from you. You promised our mother you would take care of Emily, that you would protect her, and instead, you killed her. You took away my sister. You took away Amira's mother. You destroyed our entire family." At one point, bailiffs had to step between Derek and the gallery to maintain order. Derek was given an opportunity to speak. He apologized to both families, saying, "There's nothing I can say that will make this better. I know I've caused unimaginable pain, and I will have to live with what I've done for the rest of my life. I loved Emily, and I destroyed her." But his words felt hollow after weeks of evidence, showing he had no genuine remorse. Judge Fraser addressed Derek directly. He said, "You installed spyware to monitor your wife. You armed yourself with a gun. You drove to her apartment with intent to kill. And then you executed her and her friend in cold blood while thousands of people watched helplessly online. This was not a crime of passion. This was a calculated, premeditated, cold-blooded double murder. You showed no mercy to Emily or Ryan, and this court will show no mercy to you." Fraser sentenced Derek Mitchell to 2 consecutive life sentences without possibility of parole, meaning Derek will die in prison. As the sentence was read, Derek showed little emotion, while both families held each other and wept. The case of Derek and Emily Mitchell forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about domestic violence, social media, and systems that are supposed to protect victims. The reality is that domestic violence often hides behind closed doors, behind smiling photos on social media, behind the facade of a perfect life. Emily and Derek looked happy to the outside world. They had a beautiful daughter, a nice apartment, and Derek's fame made it seem like they were living the dream. But behind that facade, Emily was living in fear, being controlled, manipulated, and physically harmed by the man who was supposed to love her. Derek's shame over his fetish being exposed became the final trigger, but it wasn't the real reason he killed Emily. The real reason was that Emily had taken back control of her own life. She had stopped protecting his image. She had started speaking her truth online and planning a future without him. And Derek, whose entire identity was built around control and dominance, couldn't accept that. So he took the most extreme form of control possible. He ended her life. Ryan Carter's death reminds us of the collateral damage domestic violence causes. He wasn't involved in their relationship. He was simply a friend helping someone in need. But because Derek saw him as a threat, Ryan lost his life. His family grieves a son, a brother, a friend who did nothing wrong except show kindness. And then there's Amira, the 5-year-old daughter who lost her mother to violence and her father to prison. She will grow up knowing her father killed her mother, a burden no child should carry. The trauma will shape the rest of her life. This case also forces us to confront the role social media played. Derek built his identity around being an online personality. He craved fame, validation, and attention from millions of strangers. When his marriage fell apart, when Emily decided she didn't want to be part of his curated persona anymore, Derek couldn't handle it. The fact that Emily's murder was partially broadcast on TikTok Live, that thousands heard her final moments in real time, adds another layer of horror. What does it say about our society that people were watching a woman's murder unfold and were unable to stop it? What does it say that clips of the live stream were shared and viewed millions of times? There's something deeply disturbing about the intersection of violence and social media, about the way tragedy becomes content. Experts who study domestic violence say the most dangerous time for a victim is when they try to leave. That's when abusers feel like they're losing control, and that's when they're most likely to escalate to lethal violence. Emily knew this. She told friends she was afraid Derek would kill her. She was planning to get a restraining order. She was trying to protect herself. But the systems that are supposed to keep victims safe failed her. By the time help arrived, it was too late. What can we learn from this tragedy? We can learn to pay attention to warning signs. We can learn to take threats of violence seriously. We can learn to support friends and family in abusive relationships, even when it's difficult, even when they're not ready to leave. We can learn that fame and talent don't make someone a good person, and that the persona someone presents online is not always the reality of who they are. Emily Mitchell was 28 years old when she died. She was a mother, a daughter, a sister, and a friend. She had dreams and plans and a future stolen from her. Ryan Carter was 29 years old. He was a kind person who tried to help a friend and paid with his life. Their deaths remind us of the cost of unchecked violence, the importance of believing victims when they say they're afraid, and the need for all of us to do better. Derek Mitchell will spend the rest of his life in prison, exactly where he belongs, but no amount of justice can bring Emily and Ryan back. No verdict can undo the pain their families live with, and no sentence can give Amira her mother back. All we can do is remember them, honor their lives, and commit to doing better, to seeing the warning signs, to speaking up, and to making sure no one else has to suffer the way Emily and Ryan did. What do you think could have been done to prevent this tragedy? How do you think social media influences relationships and domestic violence? If you were Emily's friend, what would you have done to help her? These are questions worth reflecting on, because the truth is, this could happen to anyone. Domestic violence doesn't discriminate. The only way we stop it is by paying attention, by caring, and by refusing to look away when someone needs help. If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. Help is available 24 hours a day, and you don't have to face this alone. Thank you for watching, and if this story moved you, please subscribe to our channel so you never miss our upcoming videos. We'll see you next time.